You're listening to Spiritual Growth Tools on the radio, helping you understand the blocks you have in your life to being happy, with a wide variety of guests to help you better understand the problems you're having in your own life. Whether you're depressed, poverty-stricken, suffering ill health, or confused about how to take the next step, discover products, services, and information that will enable you to grow with grace and address issues that are preventing you from happiness, health, or abundance. Go to spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk and find out what's holding you back.
Hello everyone, and you are listening to the launch of Spiritual Growth Tools on the radio, where we discuss spiritual growth, what that means, and how it can help you move forward through the box that you have in your life to health and happiness. I am your host, Caroline Nettle, and today's special guest is Anna Taylor. She's a really talented singer-songwriter, an angel therapy practitioner, as well as being a theta healer. And we're going to be able to listen to her angelic voice later in the show when we play a couple of her tracks. I'm thrilled to have her as my first guest, so welcome to the show, Anna Taylor.
Hi, Caroline. Thank you so much for having me on your first show.
You're very welcome. You've been very helpful, so I'm thanking you very much for that. Okay. So many of the listeners probably won't know who you are, so I'm just wondering if you can give us a little bit of, your history, what obstacles you've had to overcome, and how you've got to where you are today.
Oh, wow. Where do I start? I would say that I was born with my twin sister, 11 weeks premature, and so from the get-go, I guess, I was proving everyone wrong and surviving against the odds. And I spent 3 months in hospital, and later on, when I was about 18 months old, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which affects my legs, and so basically, I learned to walk a lot later than, some people. I had to do a lot of physiotherapy, and I really learned very quickly, particularly in my teenage years when I had surgery, I learned very quickly that most of the effort that I was making was to do with my mind, because obviously I had to pretty much train my mind to do the things that would perhaps be natural to some people. And so that was kind of my first kind of sneak into how powerful things can be, and I never really thought that I was particularly connected to angels, in the fact that when I look back I didn't have angel visitations or visions, but I do now remember that sometimes I would hear my name and not really know who it was, or wake up and know that something just happened, that I'd gone far away and I didn't know where I went. But really, it became more conscious for me, the spiritual path and talking to the angels by the time I was in my late teens, early 20s. And, it's such a powerful thing, and I'm so, so grateful for that. It was not an instant thing overnight. It's definitely taken me a lot of practice and a lot of growth, my own growth tools, but I really wouldn't change anything about my experience, because I'm here right now.
Absolutely, and we're very happy to have you here. And yours is a great story to start this show with, because actually one of the main focuses I want to focus on with Spiritual Growth Tools on the radio is overcoming the obstacles that life gives us and going on to lead a fuller, happier life. So thank you for sharing your story. And how was it you started your singing career?
Oh, well, I guess because I wasn't able to dance as freely as I wanted to. I did grow up with a sister and a mum who went to dance classes, and my mum even went to dance school, and so music was always part of our experience. And when I realised that I perhaps wasn't going to be able to do too much ballet and things, I would always just sing around the house, and my sister and I would make up little plays and things like that. And I never really wanted to be on the stage, but I always sang, and music has really been a comfort to me through a lot of the challenges that I've had. So I joined choirs, and then when I wasn't able to, I just started to kind of use singing with a friend of mine to just make myself feel better, and I learned how powerful it was to use sound with the intention to heal, and that was even before all of the angel stuff. So I don't really remember a time where I wasn't immersed in music. I haven't necessarily been a performer, and I certainly wouldn't say that I had aspirations to be on the stage, but it just became that way when I realised I had a dream to do my own music and things like that. So it's definitely, again, been a journey, but it's definitely not ever something something I can imagine being without, just like the angels, really.
I know that one. Yeah, and I had the privilege of watching you on stage at a Doreen Virtue event. I think that's right. That's the first time I heard you. And
yes, I think it must have been 2007, right?
Was it? I'm rubbish at dates. I'm really not very good. But I just remember the whole room went really quiet, and it was just, you have such a great voice. So can I ask you a little bit about what process is going through your head when you're writing these songs? Because they're very emotive, I would say, your songs.
Yeah. I definitely would say that I'm not really somebody that can just, pluck a song out of thin air because I've, heard somebody talk about it. I think it's most important for me to be able to feel what I'm writing. Otherwise, to me, it feels a little pointless. So even if it's something that I would like to experience in the future that I find myself daydreaming about, or an experience that I've had with a particular person in my life, or in some cases my songs really have come out of me just sitting writing with a pen and paper one day, and it just it kind of came to be. So I don't always think about it, but most of the songs that I write, and pretty much all the songs on the album, are my own life experience. So I always say that if people want to get to know me, they should just listen to the music.
Yeah, you definitely bear your soul in your music, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna play a few tracks. But it's just occurred to me, this is my first show, and I'm very human, so I completely forgot to say to people, if you would like to call in a little bit later on, there's a number that you can call. We'll be taking, I'll play some music, and then we'll take a couple of calls, depending on how time goes, and perhaps do a little bit of an angel reading. Ask the angels for some guidance for the callers. So the number you can call is, it's a US number, 347-327-9223, or if you're on the Blog Talk Radio platform, then there's a Skype button that you can also press. So that's just to tell you. I won't be opening the chat this show because I think I'm a little bit too nervous because this is my first show. But if you want to contact me, do go to Spiritual Growth Tools on Facebook and like the page and post any questions there. And if we've got time, I'll go and look at those. But do take a look around that facility, whatever the word is I'm looking for. Okay, Anna. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was going to say I'll try and multitask for you a bit and look over there for you.
That's really kind of you. Okay, well, perhaps this is the time to play one of your songs. Now, one of the ones, I've been playing this all day, and it's just, I find it really, really amazing. It's called You Know Me. This is Anna Taylor from her album Already Here. And I just want to introduce my listeners to your music. So here we go. And that's You Know Me by Anna Taylor. Anna, that's such a beautiful song. How did that come about?
Oh, thank you. I actually wasn't planning on writing a song about the angels, but because I had so many that I loved already. There's so many angel songs, aren't there? And they're really beautiful. So I really resisted it, but my producer and co-writer said, "Oh, Anna, you know, the angels are part of you. They're what you're about. So why don't you try it?" So I shut my computer and I said, "Okay, angels, if you want me to write a song about you, then you're going to have to help me." And as I said that, I saw a big flash of turquoise light, which is the light of Archangel Sandalphon, who is the angel of music. And basically, most of the words that you hear in that were written in a few minutes. And apart from the fact that the chorus was slightly in a different place, it's pretty much the same as what you'd hear. So I know that the angels gave that to me, and maybe that's why people like it.
Yeah, like I say, I pretty much had it on loop most of today because it's just it's haunting almost. I love it. And I suppose I didn't realise it was about the angels. So now that I know that, I'm like, that's why I want to listen to it. So how can people get hold of you, Anna, if they want to find out more about your music?
Okay, you can go to my website, which is Anna Taylor.co.uk, and my music is also available on iTunes to download. You can buy the CD on my website or CD Baby, but I know lots of people like downloads nowadays, so you can do that on iTunes and also on Amazon downloads as well.
Fabulous. Okay, that's fantastic. All right, I know one of the joys of being someone who speaks to angels, I'm exactly the same. Since the angels have come into my life, it really has transformed the way I see the universe. And one of the things I'm really conscious of today, whilst we're doing this show, is what's going on in the Philippines, Vietnam, and China. Now, I'm someone who absolutely loves weather, extreme storms and things like that. Really, I just find them fascinating. But what we're seeing with this devastation and the enormous force of this storm, I'm just wondering if we could send out some love and healing to those areas that suffered, and just encourage everybody, if you have the volition to do this, perhaps go and volunteer or donate something, because really they've lost everything. So just asking the angels to send love and healing to that part of the world, and any part of the world that's suffering with fire or drought or whatever else seems to be going on at this really challenging time, I would say. Have you got anything to add to that, Anna?
I would just say I completely agree with you, and I've been sending lots of love and prayers to them. I know that Archangel Uriel and Archangel Ariel are great for weather situations. I've also been calling specifically on them, and lots of people will often feel in these situations that they can't do anything, that it's overwhelming, and that they just feel helpless and hopeless. But the power of prayer, the power of visualization, and sometimes in the case of this, a donation, it makes more difference than we can imagine. So we are powerful, and when we do something, every person makes a difference.
Absolutely. And I tuned into the angels earlier before we came on air, and I just got the message, act now. I think this is one of those situations where it's 4 days in and they're literally got no food and no water. So anyway, there's so many things on the planet at the moment, and my experience at the moment is most of the angel readings that I'm doing are around big things like marriages breaking down, jobs being lost, people dying before their time, although I don't actually believe that before their time is I think everybody goes exactly at the right time. It's just it's really hard for those humans that are left behind grieving. But yeah, no, I'm really aware that there's lots of changes going on, and I know astrologically it's quite bizarre at the moment. But if anybody would like to call in, the number is 347-327-9223. We'll be taking calls in a few minutes, or hit the Skype button. So we'd love to take your calls if you want to ring in and get Anna or myself to talk to the angels on your behalf. But what should we do now? How about, let's talk about what you do in England. So you offer various services. Where do you work out of?
I live in a little village in West Sussex, which is about an hour from London on the train, and it's really great because it's a small, quiet little place, and yet I can be in Brighton or London or Gatwick really quickly. But I have to say, so much of my work is international these days that I work a lot, as we're doing now on Skype and on the phone. So I just love the variety, and I love how everyone has a story, no matter where they are in the world. And I love how open people are becoming. You know, even in my little village, people are starting to ask questions about spirituality, about the angels, and even if they don't really understand, they know that we're energy. And so I think that because more people are understanding that energy is all around us, that actually something like that isn't that different, is it?
No, and yes, that's a good way of looking at it. And I was just thinking about, you know, how I was before I, you know, got into recovery from all of my stuff. And, you know, I absolutely thought that, you know, something dreadful was going to happen all the time. I really disliked myself. I really disliked everybody else, if I'm really honest. You know, and I just couldn't see over my nose. Because of, you know, lots of pain that I was in from various things that had happened to me. But, you know, now it's so different. When I work with the angels, I literally see the world. I mean, I literally go into the heavens sometimes and look down on the planet. And you know, my perception of everything has changed from being right in front of my nose in deep, deep pain to what can we do for the planet? What can we do? And I'm just one of these people. It always makes me laugh and cry at the same time sometimes, but I was just born to make the world a better place, and I know that's true. And even when I was in that deep pain, I was always trying to find ways of helping someone. So it's ironic or not that I've, you know, like you, have gone into the healing arena, and, you know, the angels just come into all the healing work that I do now. And I'm, you know, I find it really easy to just call on them and say, what's the best thing for the person in front of me, and how can I help them to, you know, get over their issues. So I'm just laughing at how far I've come from that. My life is dreadful and I hate everybody, to, wow, if I just give enough love and we just all get together and raise the consciousness of the planet, we can absolutely make a difference. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, like I was just saying about, you know, what's happening in the Philippines right now. You know, change happens one person at a time. We cannot do anything in the world unless we know that, you know, we make a difference in our journey right now. You know, that if we're all doing our best that we can, which most of us are, you know, if we are living a conscious life in the fact that we know, you know, how powerful we are and how we can make a difference in each other's lives, and we are kind and compassionate and all of those things, as well as, of course, human, because we all have, you know, fears and everything. You know, as when we show up and in our full selves, you know, that is more life-changing than anything for everyone around us. The ripple effect, you know, in my own family, we're all different, of course, but we don't really know the changes that occur every time that we are in a certain situation. So our job isn't to work out how that happens or why that happens, just to know that it does. And when I remember that, actually everything else doesn't feel quite so overwhelming or scary, because all we can do is be present, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, in those dark times in my life, one of my favourite books was by a lady who, she just really spoke to me at a time when I didn't believe in anything. And her name's Caroline, they say Mace, I would say Mice. But anyway, M-Y-S-S. And she's this no-nonsense, doesn't take any prisoners. You know, that speaks a little bit to my personality. But she wrote a book called what's it called? Invisible Acts of Power. No, is that what it was?
I don't know, Caroline. I can't remember.
This book, whatever it's called, Invisible Acts of Power, I think it's called, something like that. And it's just story after story. She said she, put out to her database, I'm thinking about writing this story about how humans have helped humans get well or change their mind or whatever. And she just said she was inundated with all these stories. And the one that stuck out to me, this guy was going home to kill himself and he couldn't work out if he was going to use tablets or a knife. He just was sitting at the crossroads. I think it was even raining, I'm not sure. He was just sitting at the crossroads working out how he was going to, end his life when he got home. And he said this lady at the crossroads, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, just gave him a beaming, great big smile. And that one tiny act, and of course she didn't know that she was smiling at a man that was going to kill himself. He said he completely changed his mind and decided that it was worth living. And I think for me, we just have no idea sometimes what we can do. Just a tiny act of kindness can really change the way someone feels. And I know, I've travelled quite a lot, and I lived in Mexico for a little while working on a conservation camp. And in Mexico, you just smile and say hello to everybody on the street. And I remember at the time I was living in Reading, and I got back, and it was kind of in the middle of winter, and everybody in England, can be quite miserable in the middle of winter. And I was just smiling at everybody as I walked down the street. And I think most people just wanted to get me committed. And I thought, isn't that funny? In a culture where, everybody smiles, everyone's a lot happier. Whereas in England, we can be quite dour and, frowning all the time and just so, busy with our lives that we forget that actually I think connecting with other people is one of the most important things that we can do to make ourselves feel human.
Absolutely, because otherwise we wouldn't live on a planet with 6 or 7 billion others, right? And we are all one, we are all connected, which is why these things happen. And yes, the angels help us in, by giving us guidance and all kinds of things. But, often our prayers are answered by each other because we are angels to each other a lot of the time. So absolutely, I absolutely love those stories. And it's such a great reminder for us to reach out to each other when we feel guided, to be there for each other in the way that we would like to be there. We would like someone else to be there for ourselves when we're going through a tough time. And that's definitely happened to me in the last few days. I realised how many incredible people I have that really, truly support me wherever I am. And that is to me, that's the most important thing in my life.
Absolutely, I could not agree with you more. And, especially we're very privileged, I think, to be on the Angel Therapy Boards, which is something that it's a Facebook group that you can go in if you've, trained with Doreen Virtue and become an angel therapy practitioner. And I know the amount of times that I've been on there and just said, for example, today I'm really nervous, please help me to, have the confidence to do this, to the best of my ability. But for me, I think what I was saying before, my attitude was really, I am in such a place of, discomfort and I can't see beyond myself. But very often when we open up to, I wonder how everyone else is feeling, and so we get out of ourselves and then smile at the odd person or offer to carry somebody's bags because they look, really busy or whatever it is, that's when we can be of service to others. And I genuinely believe now, I spent a lot of my life being very selfish, as one does until they get conscious. And now I just really think about how can I just improve this person's life, even if it's just a hug or something. And I was reading some Mother Teresa quotes today, and it was like, if you can't feed 100 people, just start by feeding one. And I thought, brilliant. We don't have to save the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, in fact, it reminds me of something that David Hamilton talks about. I went to a workshop with him and Kyle Gray, who's another angel communicator. And David Hamilton was actually a scientist for many years, or he is a scientist. And now they're working together to show people that science and angels aren't too different. And he was talking about how, this very subject really, because a lady in the audience said, I feel very overwhelmed by everything, what can I do? And just as we were discussing, he was talking about the power of kindness, and that one random act of kindness can literally ripple out. They've proven if you do 5 acts of kindness within a day, it has the ability scientifically to touch 180 others.
Wow.
So So really, we're not touching 5 people. We're letting that ripple out to probably 180 others, depending on obviously the amount of people and things that they're in touch with. But I found that to be really fascinating, and also it proved to me that it doesn't really take a lot to make actually quite a big difference.
No, absolutely. That's fantastic. Okay, Anna, well, we have a caller, and you and I know her very, very well. She's called Polly, so I'm going to see if I know how to accept a caller. So, Polly, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, Polly. Thanks for calling in. How are you today?
I'm really well. I just thought I'd call in and say hey.
Thank you for calling.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, have you got a question for the angels? Is there something we can help you with today?
Oh, just whatever the angels want me to know. That's absolutely fine.
Okay, Polly. Well, listen, I'll just tune in and see what I can get for you. Okay, well, immediately they're telling me that they're really proud of you at the moment and that you're really stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I feel with you a real sense of you're stepping onto a new path. And it's, they're almost saying to me, as you step towards them, they'll step towards you. And I just feel with you, it's a really exciting time of just stepping into your power. I have a message from... this isn't one I normally work with. Okay, so this is Azrael, and he's coming in and he's saying some of the confusion that you have in your head when you look at normal life, so some of the things that we have to do here on Earth, which, you know, for us people that can speak to the angels can be a bit confusing sometimes. But he's saying sometimes it would really help you to just step back and breathe instead of trying to understand everything. And I'm really feeling with you a sense of you're so much more grounded than you have been. I know that you're working in gardens at the moment, so that makes absolute sense. But he's saying ground yourself and take some really deep breaths.
Okay.
Yeah, that feels really good. And I'm just getting that you're starting to really root yourself into this life. So, yeah, it just feels like a big period of change for you that's a really positive one. What about you, Anna? Are you getting anything?
Yes, I actually pulled a card for you, and it's very similar. The card is Archangel Ariel, and it's all about you having courage. And so they're wanting to acknowledge the courage that you've already had until this point, and they know you've had a lot. They're saying that they just want you to know that if you can continue to do that in the next 3 to 6 months, particularly, that is really going to reap rewards for you. So yes, it's going to feel like you're pushing outside your comfort zone for a little while longer. I mean, life is outside your comfort zone, but if you can do that just for the next few months, particularly, it's really going to pay off. So just know that everything that you're doing is it has a purpose, and it also will have an outcome that you really desire. But they are saying also that if you can really focus on what you would like to see out of everything that you're doing right now, what is the goal that you have?
Sorry, 1 second. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Of course you have, things that you desire, but they're wanting you to be specific about that and not to give up on the specific desires that you have. So everything that you're doing is working your way towards that, but just really focus your mind, because you have a very strong intention. So make sure that you're clear about that and focus on what you desire as much as you can.
Okay. Awesome.
And actually, I just want to follow up with that to say I was getting exactly that as you got through that. I was hearing visualize, but to almost a point of drawing exactly what you want. I want it to be big, and I want it to be bold, and I want it to be square, and I want it to be 10 foot, whatever it is, but be really, really specific with details. Because they're almost saying to me, we're waiting to see exactly what she can visualize and manifest, and then we can go about, helping her achieve that. So I hope that's been helpful.
Yeah, no, wonderful. Thank you ever so much.
You're very, very welcome, Holly. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay, so thank you for calling Spiritual Growth Tools on the radio, and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Lots of love to you both.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, technology worked. It's a miracle.
It did work. See, I told you it would be fine.
I can can do it. Okay, shall we play? Thank you for calling in, Polly. I appreciate that. How about In Between Miracles? Anna, do you want to tell us a little bit about how this came about?
Yes, In Between Miracles is perhaps one of my more vulnerable songs, although, as you say, most of them are pretty heart-based. But In Between Miracles is really because somebody actually once told me, and I can't remember who it was, but, you know, when we have those moments when we're feeling a little fragile and we don't know what's going on and there's an uncertainty there, which, let's face it, happens a lot in life, that we don't have to know everything that's going on, but we do want to remember that another miracle is round the corner. So that's what that song is about.
I love it. Okay, so this is In Between Miracles by Anna Taylor.
Naked, stripped of the layers I'm left undone. Raw with pure emotion, wondering what tomorrow will become. What brought me here? Which path led this way? The answer somewhere inside me, in the world around me, revolving, evolving. Everything in between, miracles, I'm full of empty, upside down. In between miracles, that's the fun lost in the clouds. Stars and mountains, just not what I see. When I close my eyes, and I'm free. I'm fragile, what is the reason I feel cold and bare? I'm in deep perception, looking to something up there. What happens now? It's not enough to cry. Should I wait a bit longer? Hoping someone reads my mind. Will love lead me there? Oh, lead me there. Everything in between miracles. I'm full of empty, upside down. In between miracles, that's the blood lost in the clouds. Clouds and mountains, just not what I see. When I close my eyes, and I'm free. Naked, stripped of the layers I'm left undone. Raw with pure emotion. Tomorrow what will come? What brought me here?
That's absolutely wonderful. I love that song. Thank you for that, Anna.
You're very welcome. Thank you for playing it.
It's just beautiful. So are you in the process of writing a new album at the moment? Where are you?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm always writing, you know, lyrics and things like that. I would say I'm not ready to record because mainly I'm manifesting. I am creating. the perfect people to work with as far as the music goes. Usually my thing is the lyrics and some of the melodies, but because I don't play an instrument, I do like to work with someone else. So I'm putting the intention out there that comes easily to me, and I have so many different things I want to do. It feels a bit like I'm juggling doing the angel work, which I love right now, and I also feel like, there's different things I want to create. So I know it's going to happen at the perfect timing, but I always will write. So it will definitely happen.
Yeah, well, half the time I think with us humans, what we need to do is just have, confidence that it will happen. It sounds to me like that's definitely your intention, so that's great.
It's perfect, because I just looked at the clock on our clock, and, we've been on Skype, and it says 44 minutes. So,
okay.
We're time for the angels.
Yeah, I'm always saying 444, which is a great number. So I'm just wondering if perhaps I should tell those that are listening a little bit about spiritual growth and how growth tools and how that came about. So like I said, I think I started the company in 2010. I could be wrong, it might have been 2009, but I spent a long time in life, doing the wrong thing, shall I say it like that? So I was an alcoholic, and I smoked, and I was completely addicted to my passport and being elsewhere other than here, and lots of different things that I used to, just basically cover the pain of, a pretty tough childhood, but, I survived, and I know that I survived in order to be able to do this kind of work. So I've got to a stage now that I'm really grateful for it. But I think my journey to recovery, which my recovery started, I've been sober for 6.5 years now, nearly 6.
Yay!
Which I'm so proud of, because I have such an addictive personality, and the fact that I've just stopped is just incredible. But it wasn't easy. But I think it was just the culmination of, I had a reading from somebody the other day, and they said, "Oh, you started your spiritual journey when you were about 15," and I'm like, really? But I do remember for some of those really dark times, I went to Peru, I went to Mexico, I went to all these amazing ancient pyramids, and I went to, the Sphinx, and I just visited all these ancient temples, and I just know that part of that was me, despite myself, ending up in these really spiritual places. And so I'm one of these people that has tried every single weird and wonderful lotion and potion and healing effort. I've just tried everything. I'm really addictive in my trying to get well as well. But it culminated with, checking myself into rehab, which, isn't a very fashionable thing to do, but that's what happened to me. And, 6.5 years later, I am sober and a lot happier with myself. And it's been a really intense few years of just working on myself and coming from, I absolutely hate and despise myself and everybody on the planet, to, I'm really growing to appreciate myself and love myself. I think love myself is a little bit strong, but really, I really like myself, and I've worked really hard on, just changing my opinion and stopping listening to the noises in my head that tell me I'm awful and everybody's going to die, and, the real drama queen that's in my head. The reason I tell you all that is because it just really drove me to understand that my role this lifetime is to love myself. That's definitely my life mission, and I think it is a life purpose that's going to go on for a very, till the end of my days, basically. So that lets me off the hook for having to do it by tomorrow at 5 o'clock. But at the same time, having worked in a treatment centre now, and having, I've been a healer now since 2005, so that's nearly coming up for 10 years. I just know that the biggest joy for me is helping other people to hold their head up and start that journey of learning to like and respect themselves. And I see so many people around me now that really have millions of different ways of hiding from themselves the fact that they don't like themselves. And it might be power, money, sex, all these different things, cleaning, all sorts of ridiculous ways that we humans cope. So I started Spiritual Growth Tools, to sort of spread the word of, the people that I'd found that I found useful in my journey. I put on there anybody that inspires me, because I think it's really important to find a voice in the darkness that you can latch onto and help, use to help yourself. But also, as I'm in this journey, I mean, this radio show has come about because I've just met some fascinating, really amazing people, and some of the guests who said yes to coming on this radio show, I'm beside myself. I'm so excited about the people we're going to bring you on. I'm going to bring on and, chat about what they're doing with their lives. So I'm just very, very happy to be. I think I shall get better as a radio host, and I'm going to allow myself to be human and not perfect, and that's new for me too. But no, I'm really looking forward to bringing on some really interesting, inspirational people who I'm hoping, the whole point of this show and the website is to offer people, ways that they can grow with grace. And I think that's going to be on my gravestone when I decide to go. She grew with grace. I hope that's
really wonderful, Caroline. I love that you're allowing yourself to grow with grace, and grace is particularly important to me because it's my middle name, and I also have messages of grace that I call messages from your angels. I specifically call them messages of grace. So I know that was a message for me too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So if I tell you a little bit about what I offer, I'm a body talk practitioner, and I have clients all over the world, and it's a fantastic modality that really helps to get to the bottom of the emotional and physical issues that you're having in your life. So if you want to have a look at that on the website, I'm also doing angel readings. I do a weekly reading for the week ahead, and I put that on YouTube, and I paste it all over Facebook. But if you want to sign up for my book, because I wrote a book as well called Where's My Man? What's My Life Purpose? And any other questions that angels can help you with, which is available free to download from yourangelreadings.com. So if you do sign up to yourangelreadings.com, you'll be able to get these weekly, what's the word I'm looking for? Weekly messages into your inbox without having to do very much at all. So I recommend that you do that. I'm also available on Twitter as @GrowthTools, so please do find me there. There's a group on LinkedIn called Spiritual Growth Tools, and like I said before, on Facebook, I'm Spiritual Growth Tools. So that's just about me, I think. So Anna, just coming into the last few minutes of the show, what's coming up for you in the future?
Well, immediately, I'm always available to talk to, and like you, there's various ways, but if you go to my website, which is anna-taylor.co.uk, you can find all my links to Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all of that. But I love to work with groups, and so I'm going to be doing more of that. In December, I have my last Angel Afternoon of the year, which is a 2-hour group that we have locally in West Sussex, where people gather and we learn and connect and meditate with a couple of the archangels, usually with a focus for the afternoon, and it's really special to do that in person. And then I've already booked a couple of events for the spring, which I'm really excited about, and that's going to include me doing audience readings for people as well as singing and sharing my story, so much like we've done today, but in a live setting.
Wow, that would be really great. I might even come to that myself, actually. That sounds really good.
Oh, thank you. That would be great. It would be a great reason to see you.
Yeah, it'd be nice to catch up. I know I have a real thing that I desperately want to get on a stage and do mediumship reading, but I haven't yet cracked into that market. I know it's something I want to do, but for some reason, standing on a stage and talking about anything but talking with spirit terrifies me. But talking to spirit on stage in front of a gazillion people seems as if, I could be lying to myself, but it seems as if I would be able to do that. So I think that's something that I'm going to try going forward. It's certainly, because it's not frightening me, I think I should do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is even when it is frightening you, like we were talking about earlier, it will happen at the right time. And, we all have to grow into ourselves. And also I would say that most of the things that are big in our lives, we're always going to feel slightly afraid of, because we know that it's quite big and life-changing, don't we? So our ego and our mind like to tell us to, not do it, which is why we get afraid, but we should do it anyway.
Well, yes, that's definitely true, and I think one of the things I'm proudest of is I'm a complete idiot when it comes to, I can do that, no problem, and I don't allow myself to think about it until it's absolutely there. Then, of course, I get terrified, but of heights. I jumped out of an aeroplane because someone bet me to. Yep. And I was so frightened, it took me about 20 minutes to uncurl my fingers from the ropes, I was clinging on as if that was going to save me. It's absolutely crazy. So because I then found out what to do, I thought, I'll do that again. And the second time, I really enjoyed it. But it's just now I think about it, I'm like, there's nothing on this planet that would make me jump out of a plane again. But at the time, it seemed like a really good idea. So, yes, I'm slightly gung-ho and crazy, but...
No, I think that's a really good point, and it's a great example that you thought, okay, I'm going to do it. And sometimes we do need that motivation of somebody saying, okay, are you sure you're going to do it? And if you have that type of personality that likes to prove people wrong, then why not?
I know. I'm getting older now, and my bones break. But anyway, I
have to say, I absolutely wouldn't do it. My cousin just did it, and I said, I would be very surprised if I ever decided to do that, but that's okay.
No, but the thing was, he was a friend. He is a friend of mine, I suppose, still. And he was with the New Zealand skydive national team, and it was that or bungee jumping. And I just know I don't have enough courage to step over the edge, and that's fine. I'm just terrified of heights. So, seemingly, strap someone to my back and jump out at 9,000 feet. Yeah, no problem. It really terrified me. But, for me it was like, you can either do that or that, and there was no choice. But now, but I think that's how I've done my life. I very much okay, let's get this sorted, or what do I need to do to make that happen? So, yeah, I'm very grateful for that personality.
Yeah, that's very tenacious. That's really tenacious and courageous and, just going with whatever is in front of you, and that's a great way to live.
Yes, it is. And and the thing is, I always say, if I died tomorrow, actually, I've lived 4 lives this lifetime. I've travelled widely, I've met some incredible people. I do consider myself to be extremely lucky in the things that have happened to me, as well as, I've had to face, some of the stuff that did happen that wasn't so nice. But actually, it's made me really strong and resilient. And, there's things I can even look back and now say, well, actually, because of that, I'm a great survivor. And, so I have got to, after a lot of work on myself, I have got to a place of, do you know what, that was exactly the child that I needed to become the person that I am. So, yeah, just change of perception, although it did take 20-odd years, so I'm not saying it was a quick thing.
No, but I think that's a great example for what you want to share on the show, and that it is a journey, and it isn't about quick fixes or, suddenly deciding that, your life is going to be perfect, but rather sort of saying, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, what can I do right now to make myself feel better, or to get some help, or to change this, or to do this. And because, really, if you do one thing, that can start the motion, in the other direction. So we're all on a journey, and I think that you're a great example for how we can be anywhere and just decide to change, even if it's a tiny bit at a time. And we're all trying to do that in our best way, aren't we?
We absolutely are. And I just have to mention, I had a wonderful phone call with this gentleman this weekend gone, I think it was, and he was asking me this really long-winded question, and I replied by saying, what you're actually saying to me, I think I'm going to put it into my words. Where is the huge red button in the middle of the room that I need to press, and then I'll be spiritual? Yeah. And he laughed, and I was like, do you know what? The only thing I can say, and this is what I said in the beginning, he said, does it have to be so hard? And I'm like, well, spiritual growth isn't easy. It's not something for the weak-hearted. I genuinely think it takes a lot of courage to look at yourself and, really examine why you do what you do, and, stop behaviours that aren't good for you, stop lying to yourself, stop pleasing other people. There's lots of things that on the spiritual growth path. But I have to say, the people that I know that are, have been working on themselves and worked through, they just are so unpretentious, really fun to be around. They don't take life at all seriously. That's a sweeping generalisation, but that's my experience. Because if I don't need to please you, then I don't need you to approve of me, so I can actually be exactly who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm really growing into that right now. And I've never been a softly kind of girl. I've always been strongly opinionated. I'm a staunch environmentalist, and I believe that there need to be people that go out and do things and say things are wrong, and I also believe there are people that have got to do it in a different, more gentle way. And I just happen to be one of the, go out and change it sort of people. But I really am starting to believe that every single person on this planet is there for a reason. Everybody's a star of their own show, and everybody needs to start looking, if they want to, because of course, if you don't get it this lifetime, you can always come back and do it next lifetime, but I'm determined that that's not going to happen to me. I am determined that I am not going to come back and learn this lesson again. It's been too hard. But you know what? Here I am, and I'm laughing, and I'm on a radio show that I've just started with a wonderful friend of mine. There are lots of things that I can be very, very grateful for.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say that really, to me, it feels like, we can talk about the spiritual path, but really we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And really what you're talking about is just that there are maybe some of us that are a little bit more aware of that fact, right?
No, that's a very good point. But sometimes I just look at people that aren't questioning the big questions like, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? This sort of thing. And there is a hint of jealousy because it just looks a lot simpler. But actually, my favourite saying is if you put everybody's problems in the middle of the room, everybody would soon be scrambling to get their own problems back because we're given exactly what we need to do to learn our lessons,
And you don't want to compare people because really we don't really know what it's like to be someone else, do we?
Absolutely not. And I'm not sure, I think I did spend a lot of my younger years trying to be anybody but me. That's my truth. But it was exhausting. And, and I'm working out that actually, when I talk to people, they like to talk to me and that I sometimes say things that are wise and, and it's okay to be me. And what a blessing that is.
That's freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's freedom.
Really is. Okay, my dear. Well, I think we're coming up to the end of the show. So I just want to tell everybody what's coming up next week. So next week I have a guest called Anthony Lewis Churchill. He's an international psychic. He's a fantastic artist. And he's just launched a new company, which I'm really looking forward to him coming on and talking about. I'm very excited. Actually, Anna, I think you'll probably really enjoy that one. It's just fabulous what he's doing. I'd be really happy to hear from anyone who's got any questions. Please do go visit the website spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk and interact with me on Twitter or Facebook or wherever if you've got any questions. So just remains for me to say thank you very much, Anna, for coming on and being my first guest. It's been a real blessing.
You are so welcome, and I'm so delighted that you're on the radio. I know we've spoken about it before, and it's really exciting that you're putting yourself out there in this new way, and I can't wait to listen to the rest of your shows.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Okay, well, with that being said, thank you again, and thank you to everybody who helped me, make the jingles, tell me how to do it, and so on and so forth. And I hope you all have a blessed and happy week. And I will speak to you next week when my guest is Anthony Lewis Churchill. So, goodbye from me. And goodbye from Anna.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Spiritual Growth Tools live on the radio. For more information, go to spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk.